Yes, welcome. The call for papers now open for FlutterCon USA. Get your papers in. Get your papers in. Right. It's catchy, isn't it? It's catchy. I really like it. I really like it.
That's a toe tapping one. Dash is dancing around fine with that one. Yes,
Sure.
definitely. All right, Dash, you're
All right.
going.
So we're going to dive straight into it. I guess Randall, jump in.
Whoa. All right. Okay. Let's get straight into it. I got to start reading already. Hold on. The caffeine hasn't kicked in yet. There we go. All right. So be nice, be respectful, be constructive while you're interacting. I mean, treat people like you'd like to be treated, basically. Don't post anything if it's adult or rude or offensive. Don't advertise or promote anything. If your face is not on screen, you cannot promote things. When your face is finally on screen, we will let you promote all you want because that's fine. Well, only when you get into the virtual studio here. Don't spam. Don't post the same thing again and again. It's boring for people. We've already seen it once, so you don't need to show it again. Particularly if you're asking a question multiple times, then all that does by posting your question multiple times is keep moving you down in the question queue, and your answer is going to be later and later and later. So don't do that. Harassment of any kind, not tolerated here. We do have band hammers. We use them, but do have a good time. We enjoy this show. We keep coming back week after week, year after year, because we enjoy telling y'all some things that you might not already know. So
indeed, have a good time. We're here to answer your questions, and in talking about that, get your questions in the chat with the queue in front, and we'll get to them. If you want to post code, we won't get any messages with any links in. They're completely wiped out off the board. So if you want to post code, you need to go to gist.new. That's GitHub's gist page. Post your code with a file name something.dart. You'll get syntax highlighted, and once you hit save or create gist, it will give you a hash in the URL. That's a long hexadecimal string. Pop that in the chat, and we can go look up on the hash what the gist is and the contents of it, and go from there. Feel free to leave comments in your code or whatever else on the gist.
And eventually we'll have a slide that says that.
Yeah.
Eventually.
My name's Simon Lightfoot, a Flutter community leader, CTO at Dev Angels London, and you can follow me on Twitter and other places at Dev Angels London. Scott's not with us today, but Randall is. Hey, Randall, introduce yourself.
Hey, hi, I'm Randall Schwartz. I am a Dart and Flutter Google developer expert, have been for about 6 years since the beginning of the program, since pretty much the existence of Flutter essentially as well. Although I've been playing with Dart for almost 10 years now, so it's been a little while for that. I am answering questions all the time in multiple social arenas like Discord, Slack, Reddit, Stack Overflow, places like that. Wherever I see questions, I try to answer. Medium, everywhere. But for this show, I am the question magician, which means that I am watching the live chat that we have that goes along with this, the YouTube part of this show. And I'm looking for you putting Q: in front of your statement, in which case that becomes a question to us. Without that Q: in the front, it might just be chatter amongst yourselves. That does happen a lot, so I tend to ignore those. So if you want us to answer something, put Q: in it, and trust me, I will see those. They will end up in the queue. If after a long time it seems like I haven't gotten to your question, it might be because you had a URL in it. So don't do that. Remember, we don't even see the URL ones at all, so keep away from that.
I've not been keeping up with any news this past week. I know the roadmap dropped, didn't it? That was a thing.
Yeah, that and a lot of AI news, because we had Gemini 2.5 decider mode or whatever that's called, where it makes decisions released to the general availability.
So, AI making decisions for us and like doing everything. That sounds perfectly fine.
Yeah. I just want to be able to push the big red button at the beginning of my shift and then just sit back like George Jetson.
Just remember, Randall, to say please and thank you to your AI. So when they come and take over, they think you're on
we welcome our AI overlords. Yes, indeed.
Indeed. Right. We've got a couple of announcements coming in today as well.
Wait, there's one thing. There's one thing in the Dart arena about that. That's I don't know if it was around the last week, but DartPad now has Gemini.
Yes.
And that is so cool because you can just pop up a DartPad, ask Gemini, how do I do this in this code? And it makes a working example that you can actually show your friends, because now we can cut and paste URLs for Gemini or for DartPad now too. So it makes it really cool.
Maybe we should give it a go in a bit in the show.
Yeah, we can fill it out. And you can complain about the quality of the code because I'm sure you will.
I'm not joking. I was doing some AI. What was I doing earlier? Some AI. I asked it about like adding the permissions on a chmod file, and it didn't even get the permission thing. I'm like, this is like standard Linux. Like, how did you not get this? Like, I don't know what was going on there. That was Gemini 2.5 Flash Pro or whatever it is. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, let me down. Gemini let me down. Right. Yeah, so let's invite someone to the stage. Lucas, welcome to the stage. Nice to see you.
Hello, nice to be back here. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
For the ones that don't know me, I'm also just like Randall Flutter and Dart GDE, and I'm also one of the main maintainers and contributors of the Flame engine and all of the other packages that we have under Bluefire.
I just realized we're missing these. There you go.
And
there may actually be 5 people listening to this show right now that don't know what Flame is. Can you give a 30-second overview?
Oh, true. That's a very good idea. You kind of forget those kind of basic things when you have worked with it for like 5-6 years. Yeah, so Flame, the word Flame comes from Flutter and Game. So it's a game engine for Flutter.
No, I did not know that.
I didn't know it until like 3 years in either. So it's not that weird. So you can build like building UIs and stuff in Flutter is always amazing. But when you want to build more advanced games, you usually want to have a game loop and things like that. And that is what Flame is providing. So a way to build cool games in Flutter.
It's definitely
it's taking care of things like the event clock for a game time. It's also taking care of things like layout for getting 2D scrollers working correctly. Is it only for like 2D scrollers, or is it 3D?
No, you can do not only 2D scrollers. It's mainly for 2D games, but we're experimenting with 3D now too, when that support is slowly rolling out into
soon TM.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to have a preview on it, there's a package called Flame 3D, which has some cool stuff in it.
We were talking. Do you remember when we were first talking? I did that 3D stuff a long time ago. Was that like 3 years ago now? I don't remember.
Probably even more, I think. We was the first Flutter Vikings, right?
We should merge this with like Flame, and so we can do like 3D in Flutter. Which would have been fine, but it's definitely like I put a pause on the whole thing until Flutter GPU is ready, because it makes so much more sense to go for GPUs.
Yeah, so much more efficient and so much less stuff to do in the code, right?
Yeah, I was going to say I built a couple of like games myself, and I've used my own game loops, and that is a complex thing to actually get working with your frame timing, making sure that you can handle skipping frames, delta time, all the kind of fun stuff around that. So yeah, it's nice to have an engine that you can actually kind of rely on to have been well tested in that side of things, right? So
yeah, for sure, it makes it a lot faster, especially if you're not that familiar of how game engines work inside.
Oh, we do have a question from
yeah. So there was actually a Flutter team member that was gonna build hot reload for Flame, and he started, and then we never heard from him again. So I guess it was harder than he thought.
Shipped away.
Can you not? I suppose hot reload is more about the state, right? So this is more about how that's more of an intrinsically different thing to how Flame works, because Flame has been built in that kind of, it's very stateful API surface.
Exactly. Since we're not building on top of the normal.
So you could hook into the you can still hook into the reload thing, but what you would be doing is tearing down the entire game and rebuilding it. And so
and I mean that we can already.
It's the same as hot restart at that point, right? So
So what we'd need this to somehow track. So we have a similar thing as the widget tree in Flutter, but it's called a component tree. So
the problem here is you need to separate off state from components, and that's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And the state can live pretty much anywhere in Flame. So yeah, it is a complex problem.
And I think
one
this is
day
Lucas'
we'll
question
get it.
too. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, well, I always get that one. It's called the dactyl maniform, and if you have a 3D printer, you can actually make one yourself. It is very ergonomic. It's, I will never go back
I've
to
always
any
liked
other keyboard.
I've always liked ergonomic keyboards. I had the Microsoft ergonomic one, for a while, but like the tilted.
Yeah.
Keyboard. The only problem is it just takes a long time getting used to it, right? But
Yeah.
then, maybe not so long. But once you get used to it, you then also got to get used to normal keyboards as well. So it's like,
yeah,
it's not as simple as I'm going to use this. It's the same as I've seen those keyboards that are like, I don't know, you had them like this, like weird funky ones. I'm like, it sounds good, and I know it would be better, but at the end of the day, it's now different from everything else, and that's the problem. It's almost like
the good thing when they are really weird, it is that, like, if they're just slightly different, like the Microsoft ergonomic one, then you kind of try to type like that on other keyboards too. But when they're this different, it's like playing a different instrument. It's like taking your trumpet or your trombone. So
I can see that.
You kind of swap between them quite easily. But when there's just a little bit of difference, then it's really hard.
I tried one of those for a while. And I realized how often I use the wrong fingers on some of the keys. So I'm in the wrong hand I'm actually pressing with, because I can press the G with either hand. And so my brain sort of makes those equivalent motions, but they aren't when the G is over here. And
the
right hand's over here now. Yeah. So
it's the same as when you buy a new keyboard, right? When you buy a new keyboard or anything like that, because maybe the keys are slightly different or slightly adjusted, you might have to adjust the way you're doing stuff.
Especially the throw of the key. How long does the key go down before it clicks? That kind of thing makes a big difference too. Huge difference. Cool. Did you have an announcement about Flame? Is that why we brought you on?
Yeah. I have put up the poster in.
Sorry.
So you can bring it in.
That is not it.
I am presenting Randall.
No, I'm beyond presenting. Yes. Right. Oh, look at that.
Okay, I can't see it, but maybe you can see it.
It's there.
It's there. Okay, I'll trust you. Yeah, it's a very weird aspect ratio, because Henan didn't have time to fix it.
Is it there? I'm not curious myself. Now, hang on a minute. It's showing on my screen, but I'm not seeing on the output of the stream.
Oh yeah, it's showing on my screen too.
They can't see it. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh, it was.
All right. Does that work?
It seems like it only works when we can't see us.
All right, there we go. Okay. Magic.
You made it. Yeah, so next Friday we're starting the official game jam of Flame that we have usually once a year. And usually we only have it a weekend, but this time it will be over the Easter holiday, if you have that in your country, and it will be 9 days. So you have 9 days to build a game in Flame, and you don't need to have any experience before. And we have like great prizes. I think it's like $700 in cash prizes, 30 dashes, 2 tickets from our main sponsor, Flutter and Friends, and something that we call Flame Care packages. So yeah, and right now I think it's like 60 people registered, so you have a quite high chance of winning something if you join.
Where can people go to actually register?
Yeah, so you can register on the itch.io link that I sent on Slack that Simon will soon post in the chat.
Yes, I've completely missed.
And the Flame Game Jam is obviously sponsored by Flutter and Friends, which is the friendliest Flutter conference there is, which is in Stockholm on the 31st of August to the 2nd of September this year. And if you'd like to speak on Flutter and Friends, the CFP is still open. You can go to cfp.flutterfriends.dev to check that out. And we're also sponsored from a game built in Flame called Danger World. And you can check that out by going to danger.world. It's not released yet, but there is some cool screenshots there to get some inspiration for games. Yeah, Roa says best conference ever. I agree. Roa has been speaking a few times there. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about the game.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. So if I join and all I do is make the Flame game host a Flutter widget and they do everything in Flutter, that's not going to work, right?
No. Yeah. So you can do. So usually, what we recommend is like if you want to build post menus and all the kind of UI aesthetics and stuff like that, you build that in Flutter, and then you build the actual game in Flame. Even though you can build all the menus and stuff in Flame too.
It's the other side of that is also around the you just not take advantage. I mean, you can take advantage of the game engine. A game has certain requirements that are not the same as an app, and that
exactly. Yeah, like the apps are usually trying to render as seldom as possible. Meanwhile, we're just throwing out as many frames as we can.
The opposite way around.
Yeah, I forgot to say one thing. So it's a bit of a answer to your question, Steph. So there will be a theme announced on the starting date of the game jam. So then everyone will build a game that somehow incorporates this theme. And then at the same time, we'll have something that we call additions that you choose one from. So the additions is something that makes your game special. And there will be 3 of those announced. And then there will be 3 limitations. So something that makes it a little bit harder to build it. And then you get to choose one of those 2. And we also start the game jam with something we call FlameCon, where we have invited a few speakers. It's just a little online conference. So if you don't have time to join the game jam, you could also join the FlameCon to know all about the latest news in Flame. And also Flutter. We have some Flutter people speaking there too about how they do rendering optimizations in Impeller and such.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, feel free to stick around. I think we'll jump on some Q&A now. Oh no, here you go. Some more Flame. Go for it.
Yep.
Yeah. So Godot and bigger engines like Unity and stuff, they have the biggest difference is that they have an editor. Flame is code only. You write everything in Dart. There is no editor to drag around your components, etc. And also Flame is mainly 2D.
I suppose that's another thing though that sorry, I'm not trying to dig on Flame here, but I suppose that's another limitation in terms of not having hot reload. Because one of the things that makes it really nice writing apps in code with Flutter is the hot reload feature, right? Being able to just make a tweak and see the change straight away in terms of code. So yeah, no, it sounds interesting that hot reload in Flame would really kind of make a difference there.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you can make workflows where the hot restart when you're just looking at the component that you're currently working with. But when you want to run the whole game, then the hot reload would be super useful.
Yeah, so I suppose you can actually make it so that your entry point is just loading up the one component or one section of the product the game that you're actually trying to develop. And then once you've done that, you can go back to like the full game state or something.
Exactly. And we have a little bit of, so we have Flame dev tools that are built into the Flutter dev tools. So if you open those up, you will see the whole component tree.
Using a DevTools extension.
Yeah, exactly, a DevTools extension. And in there, you can change for the built-in components. You can change things live, so you can set position, sizes, move them around the screen and stuff.
That I did not know about. That should be on a massive banner inside your documentation if it's not already.
True. We're actually we should really
that needs
because many people don't know about that. The DevTools extensions are so powerful for anyone building packages.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that literally makes up the difference for hot reload, right? Because not totally, but it means that you can actually start you can tweak things and see exactly what that change is.
See how the game reacts.
Yeah.
And this one also looks to be a Flame question here.
Yeah. So for the ones that don't know what ECS is, it stands for Entity Component System, and Flame has something that we call Flame Component System, and I don't think ECS would make it any easier. It would be maybe a little bit easier to control the state in there, but then it would also be more of a pain to share the state with Flutter, I think. So yeah.
And some more questions about your desk, because you're showing off so much of your desk, I think. Oh wait, sorry, how did that end there? That's not what I wanted. This one.
Yeah. So this is called Elecom Huge. And I don't know, if you're a gamer, you should definitely not use it. But if you like ergonomic stuff, then it is it's really nice. So,
today in Lucas's desk. What?
I really got on well with
desk.
I really got on well with the MX Master.
They're really. I mean,
they've also got the MX Master, which is like vertical as well, right?
Yeah, they're really nice.
That's the only.
I hate the way that you get these like really small mice, like laptop mice, and then you like people doing this, like trying to move their mouse. You're like, that is not good for you.
No. Yeah, you like your wrists just kills them.
Yeah. Not good. Right.
So fun to see Robert Brunhage here, because he's actually the only other Dart and Flutter GDE in Sweden.
Should come on the show, Robert. You know, you're welcome anytime. Right.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. So we want to do.
Anyway, is there
I got 3 more questions. Yeah. What does that mean?
No, I mean that's what we're just talking about, right? DevTools.
Yeah.
I guess they mean that you can have on the DevTools in Chrome, for example, for a normal web page, you can have you can see different mobile sizes and stuff like that.
I mean, when it comes to like the game engine, and I don't know enough about this, so this is kind of curious for me. When you host the game engine, you're hosting an instance of something. Are there globals involved, or can you host multiple? Can you host multiple instances in a Flutter app, for example?
Yeah, definitely. Can have as many.
I'm thinking that you could actually do like a larger window size and have different layouts of different or tabbed view with different size screens, and you could do that yourself, no problem, right?
Yeah, it would actually be really simple to do. But I wonder if his question was about Flame or about Flutter in general.
Oh well, it was interesting either way.
Yeah.
Also didn't have a queue in front, so you know.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I would have missed it. I think I already missed it, actually. So we do have 3 questions if they're not Flame related. If you want to,
I got this up on screen.
Oh,
this is the most developers.
Yes.
I can code it, but I need graphics. Do you know what solves this problem, Raf? AI now. AI image generation. Perfect.
There are also quite a lot of sites with a lot of free assets, like itch.io, where we're hosting this game jam. They have lots of both free assets and also very cheap asset packs if you want to build simple games.
Right.
Okay, so we could do the questions we have, or
Q&A. Yeah. I mean, we can go through the roadmap. That's another thing. Like, if we want to talk about the roadmap, we could do that briefly.
Do that.
Let's do that whilst we get your questions in, everyone. Sorry, I took the banner down, didn't I, when I was doing the thing. Questions in with a Q. Right, let's see if I can present this, and then we can have a little natter whilst we're waiting for more questions to come in. We'll be running. We'll be doing some live coding in a little bit after this.
Yep.
If I can get things to work. Here we go. Let's see if I can make this bigger. Yeah, so this is for those that don't know, I'll pop this link in the chat for anyone that wants to read in their own browser or whatever. Yeah, so this is the 2025 roadmap for Flutter. For those that don't know, they do this every year. This is kind of basically the aspirational requests for what they're trying to like get done this year, and obviously don't know if it's going to happen or not, but this is like where they want to go. What was the direction of the ship is sailing in? So as you can see, by now non-Google contributors outnumber those employed by Google. So there's not an exhaustive list of new or exciting things we hope to come to Flutter this year. So basically what they're saying there is we're all contributing, and they're all new stuff that they don't know about yet. So, you know, who knows what's going to happen. As always, in the software business, it can be difficult to accurately forecast work, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so accessibility. In 2024, we completed validation of several key use cases for accessibility on mobile platforms, iOS and Android. In 2025, we plan to focus on further accessibility support for the web platform. So for those that don't know, accessibility, so Flutter Web renders in a canvas, which means that it needs accessibility support to be able to like find the text on the canvas and a bunch of other stuff around that. And this is also apparent for bots and SEO. So this is going to make a difference to that as well. So once accessibility is fully 100%, we can be going, okay, you know, it's easy for a bot to crawl the accessibility tree and find that content. Performance, we're keen to focus on quality and performance with Impeller. We plan on completing the iOS migration to Impeller by removing Skier back on iOS. And Android, our focus is on more modern Android devices, specifically those that support API level 29 and later. And we expect to make Impeller the default. We saw issues on 2024 on older devices, and for now, we expect to keep Skier supported on those devices. So for those that don't know, there's a few interesting things that happened. Like 327 dropped, and there was quite a few devices had some rendering artifacts with Skier and their behaviors and how they load textures. So we started getting some interesting green artifacting and some other interesting things on various devices. So you can disable Impeller. There is instructions to disable Impeller on your Android builds if you need to. But what they've done in 329 and patches since then is that they detect those issues because they've been reported. They now detect those issues and they flip back over to a different rendering engine. So it will try and use Impeller. If it can't, it will flip over. Or it will detect the GPU that's on those devices and then use Skier or switch from Vulkan to OpenGL or whatever they need to do to kind of like rectify the problem. Okay. Mobile, Android, and iOS platform. We'll continue to update iOS with support for upcoming iOS 19, Xcode 17 releases by completing the support for Swift Package Manager. We expect Swift PM to be the default option later in 2025. Yes, I hate CocoaPods with a pack.
Really?
Every time I go, it's just pain beyond pain. It's like, yeah, like let's switch to something more modern. Second, we continue to refine our Cupertino support with widgets that align with Apple's human interface guidelines. Lovely.
But how long will it take before we hate Swift Package Manager the same way we hate CocoaPods?
It'll happen. It'll happen.
Yeah, because it's a build system. There is nothing nice and simple about any build system ever.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same thing with CocoaPods, right? People thought the CocoaPods was the solution when that replaced the...
You know what? You say that, Randall. You say that, Randall, with build systems. There is no nice... I have not found a better... Think about all the build systems you've used, Randall, and then think about Make, the simplicity of Make.
Oh, Make was awesome.
Oh, that's terrible syntax, though.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to get is like the simplicity of it. Like, if you had Make, but in a better syntax, like a more modern syntax, I think that would cover pretty much most use cases. I mean, as long as you can like do your shell scripting as well, like, you know, you're pretty much covered. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
And,
right. Where were we?
Make predates Ant by about 20 years.
All right. Ant, I nearly forgot about Ant. God, play. Right, let's move on before we really key our ages. Right.
Yeah.
We're going to get some primary features.
Is Lucas asking himself a question here? I don't understand.
But let's take that afterwards.
Oh, okay. All right.
Support upcoming Android 16 release with a hope to move the Gradle build logic to Groovy and Kotlin and increase the unit test coverage for build tooling. Yes, please. I had some interesting remarks I saw in the past few weeks on Twitter and a few other places where people were finally exploring Flutter Tools, the Flutter Tools package. And I've been playing around with that for ages. I know it's a massive mess in there. It has lots of tests. It's one of those things where the tool has been developed so frequently over time and everything's got tests. What you've ended up with is an interesting, complex code base and tests that cover its complexity. So making any change is not simple, but you know when it breaks. So it's that kind of, I think it's going to get to that point soon enough, which is like, okay, write out a new spec, go, okay, this is what we need from a new tool that matches all that this old behavior that is fresh, right? Because it's gone through several versions of Dart now, and it's got some more cruft in there, should we say? Some dust in the carpet. Right. On both iOS and Android, interoperability is critical to interface with platform-native code. We expect to continue our experimental work with support calling directly from Dart and into Objective-C and Swift code and into Java and Kotlin. And this also includes calling APIs that can be invoked on the main OS platform. We spoke about this the last few Humpdays, which is merging the threads. Now that the main OS thread is used as the main Dart thread, this means that we can now call and do synchronous calls to the OS. That actually has quite a few benefits. So let's see what happens. Web platform. In 2024, we made a strong progress on performance and quality, such as app size reduction, better use for multi-threading, and improved app load times. In 2025, we plan to further improvements of core. In the core Flutter web, this includes accessibility, text input, international text rendering, size, performance, platform integrations. We also want to continue improving web performance using compilation to WASM and /WebAssembly. The new JS interrupt mechanism in Dart that supports both JS and WASM compilation is complete. Yay! Next, we plan on removing the legacy HTML and JS libraries in 2025. See break and change announcement. Finally, we've made good progress on supporting the hot reload on web and hope to launch it in 2025. Yeah. So if those that don't know, you can actually enable this as an experimental feature. I think it's -- experimental -- reload. So when you run Flutter, if you add that to your command, you go look it up. It will, when your devices like Chrome or web you're directing to, it will support hot reload on web now.
You can also test it in DartPad if you switch to the main release. So there's a button in the lower right corner that says which version you want to run. Turn it off stable and put it on main, and then the reload button shows up.
Ooh, hang a minute. What's this? You mean down here? And I change it to main.
Right. And then make a web thing.
Make a web thing.
The samples web. Samples something.
Samples web.
Fluttery. Something fluttery.
Oh, look. Flame game.
Oh, hey. See what it does.
Yep.
See what has a reload. Any one of
is
those.
It like
that Flutter. Yeah. Okay. And run. Notice the reload button there.
Oh yeah, I missed that. Yeah. So I could change the text or whatever, and then hit that button, and then
and it doesn't work.
Reloading. Reloading. It's live. When you want to demo something, it never works.
Yes. We never do anything you haven't practiced.
Let's do this.
No, let's hope this one runs. It's a long time since I wrote this one. Oh no, this is actually this
yeah. Breakout. Oh, we love a bit of breakout.
And I hit reload, see what goes away.
Wink. Right. All right. Anyway, let's get back. Let's right. So
easily distract Simon. Yes.
Yeah. So hot reload coming on web. Obviously performance and everything else we were speaking about. There was something in here. Oh yeah, there's another thing I've actually found this came up recently again. I think it was from Twitter thread. Control F. So when you press Control F in your browser, you're doing search, right? So you can search for something. Well, obviously, without the text being widgets on the page instead of in terms of the browser's text widgets, it's being rendered on canvas. You don't get Control F on Flutter, and people are like, "This is a massive no-no. The world's going to end." You can pick up a hotkey Control F. You can display your own find box. Like it doesn't break it at all. You just need to implement it. So I just kind of find it interesting that I guess it's like a no, like over on the back button in Android. It's kind of like you shouldn't do that. But if you're rendering all your own UI, then Control F is the way you need to render your find box, right? Like
feels like there are quite a lot of normal pages overriding Control F2, taking you to some internal search.
Yeah, see that's a bit. I get that, right? So let's say you press Control F and it takes you to the search box of a website. Not to search the page, but to search their website. That would be that's kind of annoying, right?
Yeah.
But then if it's Control F and you're still searching the page, but within your product, that's fine. Because you're the same expectation, right? So okay. Desktop platform. Google's Flutter team will focus on mobile and web support for 2025, while Canonical as Flutter team continues to invest in desktop platforms such as Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. So those that don't know, Canonical are are really pushing the desktop front, and they'll be landing some PRs and merging in. Since the merging of the two repos, a few PRs are just taking a while to land, but they'll land, and we'll get some really interesting stuff, such as, in 2024 we landed multi-view rendering on desktop. There you go.
Ooh.
And in 2025, Canonical plans further improvements for multi-window support, accessibility, keyboard, text input, focus. Canonical also plans to make progress on windowing APIs. So, for those that don't know, there's a state. Is it called State of Flutter or State of the Union? Your Ubuntu State of the Union talk, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. The one from this autumn.
Yeah, and then that they go into all the stuff they've been doing with desktop. I know that I highly recommend. It's a good talk. You can find that on YouTube. Core framework investing a number of goals for reducing unnecessary verbosity in Flutter widget code. This is interesting. From what I know about this kind of stuff, and it's been on the stuff for a while, was like Dart having a, so whenever you specify an enum, for example, let's say main axis alignment, you have to do main axis alignment dot center or end or start or whatever. The idea being that this is a Dart change, you can drop the main axis alignment type name because it can only be that type. It's an enum, so you'll be able to do in terms of, let's say, column, you can do main axis alignment colon dot center, and so you're specifying the field, the named parameter, and then the contents, the value of it is just dot, and then the enum name. So this way you can avoid. This was announced. I think this is also spoken about at Flutter in production as well. Tooling and AI integrate. We continue to support to integrate with AI solutions and other AI assistants with the core programming tasks. Sounds like fun. We continue to invest in the suite of tooling, which includes Flutter Dev Tools, VS Code, and in Studio IntelliJ IDX. Additionally, we'll keep working towards improving edit refresh cycle for overall developer experience. I think it's very important, this piece, right? Like making sure that we have smooth development, that it doesn't like just bug out all the time. It's not like there's no memory leaks. It just keeping that is the win for me for Flutter a lot of the time, is just being able to just work on stuff without having to wait for the compiler, to wait for the build system, right? So
there is some kind of protocol now for talking to LLMs, right? Where I think that is what they're
MCP.
working on here. Yeah, exactly. And that might also improve the make less Flutter hallucinations in the end.
Well, we can only hope.
Yeah.
We'll see what's coming. Dart programming language in 2024, we conclude the support. We conclude that supporting macros in Dart was not viable. Sad face. But based on that, in 2025, we expect to improve the current support for code generation, build, run, investigate alternative ways to improve Dart support for serialization, deserialization. And we also expect to ship one or more language features currently going through the Dart language design funnel. This is all public, by the way. We've spoken about this before. There is a Dart language funnel project. Bring this up. And you can go to this at any point. I'll pop the link in the chat if people are interested. You can see what's been discussed at the moment, what's been spec'd by the Dart team, what work's been completed, spec complete, sorry, implementation been implemented, and then finally done. And then what's been chucked in the icebox, like meta programming, which is what we've been talking about, which is
macros.
Macros. We call it macros as well. So, right, where was I? Dart compiler tools. We plan on refactoring the Dart analyzer and the front end compiler to share more of the implementation, so this can accelerate future developed language feature development, performance, and stability. Yes, I like the sound of that. We also plan on investigating support for cross-compilation of Dart AOT binaries, for example, compiling Linux AOT executable on macOS. I think this is really important as well. I was thinking the other day how it might be interesting to write a Dart front end for LLVM, just for the hell of it. And I've it could be interesting, right? To be able to say, okay, I can take my Dart code and just any of the backends that LLVM supports, just have it output to those. That might be an interesting
it's
project.
Not interesting enough that I'm willing to dedicate the next two years of my nights.
I know that's the problem, right? Like it's fun, but would it ever be complete? is the question,
Yeah,
right?
Fair.
It'd be a fun like project, but unless there's like lots of people working on it together, I have a feeling it's one of those projects that would be fun and then sit there on a shelf and people look at it and go, "Oh, looks pretty," and I can try it out as a fun tool, but
It
never be
have to be
100%.
it'd have to be an intermediate layer between the CFE and the LLVM backends, probably to
I
do a
mean,
translation. And then there's going to be
the
some
other half of that, the problem really is one of that you're not working on. If you're not working inside the Dart language team, you're always going to be a step behind.
Yes.
I think that's the other problem, right? Where if you're always a step behind, you're always going to be chasing your own tail in terms of implementing new things. So,
Oh, and also
you're
as you were
moving quite fast in the Dart
Yeah.
language team too.
as you were mentioning earlier, all the changes that are being made to Dart and Flutter, you should mention once again the Dart language funnel, which tells people where, or tells everybody where they are in implementing various categories.
I literally just went through that on the screen. So I'm guessing you weren't seeing that. And I pasted the link as well. Posted the link.
Oh, yes.
Anyway,
Thank you.
So let's carry on here. So releases, we plan on having further stable release and 4 stable releases and 12 beta releases in 2025. So for those that don't know, this is kind of indicative of this. There's one stable release per quarter. This has been going on now for a few years, 3 years, something like that. One stable per quarter and 1 monthly beta release. The problem here is a lot of people are not running their code against the beta releases. You should be at least once a month, put a date in your calendar and say, I'm going to test my app. I'm going to check out the beta branch, try my app out against it, see what breaks. You then know what's going to be released coming up in the next stable before it gets there. You can be thinking about what you need to do ahead of time and get ahead of the curve, right? We were doing this a lot when it was alpha and when it was like when Flutter was in its early days. But it's still critical to do this now because we had this before. This is the same problem that happened with Impeller. People were suddenly running it Impeller on their apps when they were pushing them to production. They're like, why is it broken? And it's like, because you didn't test it, right?
And also report problems that
exactly. They need to know what's going wrong. So it's like us building apps. Like, how would you know something's wrong with your app unless you had reporting to tell you someone's having problems with your app, right?
Yeah.
To improve the predictability and regularity. There we go. Of these releases and to reduce regressions of stable releases and will invest further in test coverage, which was good. This is always every team says this, right? Like more test coverage, more tests, right? We'll also make investments into improving the ability to expedite the releases, the release of any needed hotfix and patch releases, which is good.
Nice.
Non-goals. We're still not planning to invest in built-in support for code push or hot updates. For code push, our friends at Shorebird.dev may have an offering of interest. For UI push, also known as server-driven UI, we recommend using the RFW package, which was built by Hixie, one of the, I guess, founding development team, for one of a better word. We also are not planning, that's off Flutter itself, also not planning on adding any additional platforms. I can't imagine that they would want to add any additional platforms at this point, right?
I don't want them to add any more platforms either. I mean, they are stretched thin enough as it is, I think.
Directly on the eyeballs. That's the next one, right?
Yeah. I actually have these AI glasses on me.
Oh, no.
You can program them with Flutter.
Wow. Okay.
Right. Should we get some questions in and then we can...
There's the one that Lucas asks of himself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I thought that you might have some good input on this, Simon.
Do you see any problems in moving from 64-bit math to 32-bit math, both for Flutter and Flame, to have smoother experience with shaders, which use 32-bit vector support math? That's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. So
okay, so is this maybe just
currently on the 64-bit vector math?
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking about this. Like, is this just because the is it just to avoid the conversion? Are you seeing like? Are you actually seeing like? I mean, I'm just thinking like the amount of difference between 64 and 32-bit vectors is surely not that great, especially when it comes to. I mean, I guess it just avoids the conversion. I can't imagine it being that.
Exactly. It is the conversion that we want to
avoid just to kind of
because
get a bit off the
would be
CPU,
too expensive.
right?
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, I think the real benefit should be that the vector math library should be using intrinsics and actually going to use, like, should be programmed to work with FFI so they can take advantage of like SSE and all the other fun things, rather than actually relying on the compiler to do those things, which it probably doesn't do very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any problems moving to. You're not going to have any real massive loss in precision, I don't think. You're talking about, if you're talking about loss in precision on that, you're talking about stuff that's like,
yeah. I mean, we only have so many
right?
pixels on our screen, right?
You still got like, what is it, five floating point decimal places with 32-bit?
Yeah, 5 or 6. Yeah,
I forget. 6, is it?
But I don't remember.
I know I'm going to go look it up now.
I looked it up earlier today, but memory is quite bad.
With IEEE 32-bit floating point. There we go.
7.
Single, yeah, we're talking about single, yeah, 7.22, apparently. Yeah. You can interpret this row 7.27, basically. I mean, what amount of precision are you looking for? That sounds quite reasonable to me.
I think so too. But I know the Flutter team they were thinking of moving over to 32-bit before, but then didn't for some reason. But I have asked some people now to see if the
point here, right? The real problem here is are you gonna? It's not really the loss in precision; it's maybe the loss in performance. Since you're running an ARM64, you're probably going to get better performance out of the 64-bit vector library than you would out of 32.
I don't think so. They usually implement that on a CPU level to have support for 32-bit floats, right? Even though
well, depends. It really depends on how the Dart is implementing its floating point library. I don't know off the top of my head. It's not really. It could be a case that that it's just doing it itself. It's not actually using the floating point instructions themselves anyway. You don't need to use them.
I hope they do. But
yeah. I mean, it's annoying when you actually have a library that does 64 and you've got 32, and you have to
yeah, and you have and if another library exposes it and you don't know which one they are exposed, and they have the same name. It's like the Matrix 4 exists both built into Flutter and in the vector math library, and they also import the vector math library, so you have to use like show and hide in the imports.
Okay,
it's the top of the hour. We got 4 questions, so we can keep going, and
we'll keep going.
Start getting your questions in, because we also want to do some live coding, so we don't want to break over fairly soon. But let's go ahead and
Feel
get
free to also post your code snippets as before with gists or anything like that, or
code snippets as gists, or just general topics about what you'd like to see in live coding. We can also take topics. This is a 2-parter here. So, is there a good method to set up or change the responses of a mocked API client during a widget test? Like getting customer details before or after registration. And the second part is change the response to the same API call made at different times during the widget unit test with a mock API client. Okay.
Okay, so go to the first one first of all, right?
Sure.
So, I mean, you're just mocking the object that calls it doesn't actually do any network calls, right? So you can literally just have an integer in there with the number of calls, and then inside your mocked HTTP get function of your client, if value is 1, then return this response, else return the other response.
Yeah, you can quite easily, like if you're using the repository pattern or something, it is so easy to just, I mean, on a higher level than going down all the way to.
It all depends on again, if it's specifically saying
depends on what you want to test.
So I mean, again, you're trying to mock your API client, you're trying to mock your thing, but really the way you do that is just create a class that implements your API client interface, whatever it is, and you implement the no such method function. And that's how all mocks work. And then what will happen is whenever you call one of the functions in the interface, it will call the no such method function. And then you get to look at the invocation and return any response you like. So you can literally just make a little, I can show you in a minute. You can make like a little test object that does what you need. I mean, there's also Mocktail and other things that do all this for you.
And Mockito.
And Mockito, yeah. Like there's other mocking libraries. So Mockito requires code gen, I believe, still, and then Mocktail does not. But yeah, it's all the same. They actually basically all they do is they put an interface around this exact mechanism I just spoke about, which is the running of no such method. So yeah. Anyway, right. What's next?
All right.
Leave that one there. We can at the top, and we can kind of come back to that.
Okay. All right. Trying to sync my mobile app local database when my Android and iOS apps are terminated using FCM notification. When it's terminated, you don't get to do things, people. Why does everybody want to keep doing things when they're terminated? Don't understand.
Right. There's a difference between terminated and closed.
Yeah.
Nothing. Your app. If your app is terminated, that's it. It doesn't get any doesn't get woken up at all. That's it. There's no way you get around that, right? Like, when my apps are terminated using SM notification. Hang a minute. There's two. Trying to sync my mobile app to a local database. So I'm assuming you mean like upload it so that like it's in sync, right? I mean, you're doing it on FCM notification. Why would you want to do it on FCM notification? On iOS and Android did not allow FCM remote message to reach my app. Watch it. So they do get your app. You can get background notifications, but not when your app is forcefully terminated, right? If your app is forcefully terminated, that's it. It has to wait for the user to open it back up again. Yeah, I mean, like the other thing is you can set up what's called. So, for example, there's a package, and Android Alarm Manager Plus, I think it is. Oh, I've forgotten what it is now.
Work Manager? No,
there's that, but
okay.
I'm going to go with this one because it's just easier to reason about. Here, I'll bring it up on stream. So just hide that for a second. So Android Alarm Manager, for example, this only works on Android. It's one of the community packages. And the idea being here that you can schedule some work to happen on a regular basis. So periodically, you can have it sort of call a entry point on your code and do something. In this case, once every 6 hours, call this, and then it uploads the syncs your database, right? There you go. Now you've got code sync, database sync happening.
And a battery killer.
You can even have your duration there choosable by the user. They can disable it to 6 hours, once a day, once a week, whatever the frequencies that are interested in. Doing on a push notification, well, you can still do that. It's just that you're only going to be able to do it if your app has not been forcibly terminated. So if you're trying to test this, don't forcibly terminate the app. So.
All right, moving on. Let's see here. This one here. How to provide data to a Flutter map. And I wasn't sure reading this 3 or 4 times what map they're talking about. Is it like a map?
Flutter
like
map.
Layout of the locations? Or is that map like the map class?
So no, Flutter map is a widget it's a package called Flutter map, right?
And that's for mapping?
It's the way you do it with anything when you want to use a widget with Riverpod. There's no special thing here.
There's nothing special in Riverpod about a Flutter map.
Well, no, what I'm trying to say is like it's just a widget that you rebuild with your data, which is exactly how you do it with any other widget.
This is human maps. Okay, all right. I'm trying to figure out what word the map means here. Map it's a human sense of a cartographical item that tells you where you are in the world.
So right here,
that map.
So you have a Flutter map with children, right? And then children are normally the layers. You might have like a tile layer or a pin layer or whatever it is. Hang on, I can't find it now.
I think maybe what they want is for Riverpod not to go to the loading state in between, right? And for doing that, you can set it on the provider with what is it called again? There is an argument on the providers that you can set so that it doesn't go to the loading state after
in
the first load.
.when. Yeah, in .when you can say ignore loading or ignore refreshing, which is the default. Exactly. It's already the default.
Yeah. So you could wrap your marker layer widget within the children with your when condition. And then on the output, you can do a map over whatever your data is to build your markers. And that's it. It's that simple.
Yeah, it's going to have to, there has to be a moment in time when you haven't got your map data yet. And something needs to be painted in that first 60th of a second. So you are going to have to have some stand-in, some proxy for what to paint when you don't have your actual data yet. That's how futures work. So at that point, at some point, it's going to then refresh. It has to. There's no way for that to all of a sudden go from your proxy we're not done yet object to the we're done with this map object. There has to be some refresh in there. But after that, it should be able to keep the same data, even with .when. It should not go back into loading state unless you specifically asked for it to go into loading state between refreshes. So, yeah, I think that's it. Anything else, or move on?
No, that's good.
Move on. Okay. What approach should you follow using Flutter as a module in a native app? I wouldn't follow that. That's how I do it. I mean, when we build AR, it gives us a repo. Where do you host it? Using locally, you can crash GitHub. Any ideas? Stumped.
When we build an API AR, it gives us a repo. When do you host it? What?
Is this add to app? Basically, it's just
add to app. That's what I got from the first, but then I'm not confused by the second question here. So, what approach you use when building Flutter as a module in a native app, which is add to app? I mean, when we build an AAR, which is the output of building your app, your module for your app, it gives us a repo. Where do you host it? As it usually using it locally can crash GitHub. I have no idea what you mean can crash GitHub.
That would be hard.
Desktop? I mean, that shouldn't crash anything to do with it. That's probably some configuration on your machine. Like, host it on GitHub. Like, that's what everyone would do. You just you add to app onto your app, and then your entire project is hosted on GitHub. I feel like there should be. I'm not trying to be facetious. I don't see what the problem is. So maybe you can elaborate. Let's move on.
Post a follow-up. All right, let me find the next one here. Here's this one. Is this the same guy? Yeah, same guy. Oh, look at that. We can host on GitHub packages, but if there's any multiple plugins being used, and for every version there will be many AR files. Any way to have a single AR file?
Okay, we can host it on GitHub packages, but if there are multiple plugins being used, then for every version, this is not a problem of like Flutter or anything else. You're just trying to host your packages. Anyway, I mean, multiple plugins. I mean, that's how it should be done. That's just how Android builds. I mean, I don't know about combine. It's been a while since I've looked at anything to do with AR. It is just a library of code. It's essentially an archive. So I don't see a reason why you couldn't combine them. I don't know if there's no way that's built in that I know of that you can do it, but does not say there isn't. The thing is, what you probably want to do is not host them on GitHub in that way. You want the Android build system works really well with Maven and other things like that, where you can actually host your artifacts, and then they automatically get brought in by the build system, and it's a nice way of actually including things. So probably look at a different way of hosting them. That's what I'd say.
Okay.
I mean, it shouldn't matter that there's one on many. Like you, it's an artifact repository. It's meant to have lots of artifacts in it.
Yeah.
Right?
One would think. One would think. All right. On to the next one. Quick question.
Sorry, to pick on that last point before we jump into this.
Yeah.
The whole, what we're doing, for those that don't understand, like you build something, you get out of it artifacts, right? So you build like a library, you get like, here's the compiled library code. That way, when you build your app, it uses that compiled library code, and you don't have to build it every single time you build your app, right? So the idea being that you have an artifact repository, a place where it stores all of the versions and all like the packages, essentially. Like we have pub.dev. Pub.dev is for source, but you can have like an artifact repository for the end binaries, right? And the fact is, if you have a plugin like, say, the Android alarm manager stuff we just saw, that has a component that is native code, that's going to produce an AAR alongside the Dart code, right? That runs it and connects using the method channels. So all of that wants to be hosted somewhere in an artifact repository. And the idea being is just a cache, right? So your app, your app should be able to always be built from its source code, no matter what. Just because you have these AARs just speeds up your build process. It doesn't actually do anything else, right? Okay, let's move on. Sorry, I just want to clarify the points here.
Yep. All right, this one. Can I run HTTP server and WS, probably a WebSocket server, in Flutter on Ubuntu? Not in Flutter, but in Dart.
Well, you can probably do it in Flutter, but
okay.
it won't be very.
Let's be clear about some points here. Yes, you can, but what you're doing is you're using Dart packages in your Flutter app, right? So it's not strictly speaking Flutter that's doing that, because Flutter is the rendering engine, that's the front bit. But yeah, you can just use the Dart.io has a built-in HTTP server you can just spin up. There's also the HTTP package, and there's also already support for WebSockets in there. There's a great WebSocket, there's built-in WebSocket channel, which is already a built-in system feature. But equally, there's a great one by Felix that was added not too long ago. I can't remember the name of the library now. Hang on, let's see if I can quickly find it on Pub. WebSocket client. There we go. That's the one. Pop this up on stream. Why not? Yeah, WebSocket client. And again, it's the same thing. So, well, this is the client library actually. So I don't know if this has a server. I may have made that one up. There is WebSocket channel, which is the official tools.dart package, which effectively does the same thing, right? So this allows you to host WebSockets and do the channel stuff with it. I'm pretty sure
that you scroll by is quite nice too. To have
which one? Sorry,
shelf.
Yeah,
to have like a little bit more of implementation on top of the HTTP, but it's quite.
So, I mean, if you're using Shelf as your router or whatever, then yeah, this is super what you would do, because you could just have a handler, which it builds a handler which does the upgrade stuff, and you can manage the WebSocket that you get back. So nice and simple. I did actually do a live. Here's a little plug for myself because I'm on the stream. I did a 3-part boring show live stream on the Flutter channel on YouTube, where I actually used this package with Craig to build a little server and little chat client thing. So
yeah,
I
remember that. And that's that was on Craig's show. What was that called at that point? Was that
no, it wasn't Observable Flutter. It was the boring show.
Oh, the boring show, even before that. Observable Flutter apparently resumes next week, so we'll start getting new shows again. Craig took a little bit of a sabbatical, and now he's coming back. So cool. Okay, we have one final question, and then we can start doing our live coding. So get your questions in right now if you want to get an answer or want to get an answer from us. What are you folks doing? I don't know. Oh, what are you folks doing to reduce memory allocation? We're using Flutter in native iOS and Android apps. I see a 2x increase since we moved to Flutter screens. Well,
we have some spam here too. I don't know if you can remove that.
Why do we even care about like 2x increase in memory? Is that even worth caring about? I mean, if it was like 30x, I would agree.
It's pretty big if it has double the memory allocation when you go into just for another screen, right? Depending on what they start with.
It depends on what's in the screen. I mean, clearly, if you're using representations that are using entire ints for each pixel, for example, that would be bad.
Sorry, I completely just try to find some links. The boring show links in the chat. Don't click on it. Just copy and paste it or whatever, because you don't want to be taken away from this lovely show.
Right.
That's in there. Also, I just searching for that. I found the link that people wanted last week, which was the Flutter versus Zombies I did, where I was talking about 3D games. I just found the link when I googled my own name on YouTube. So you know, there's the link for anyone that was asking last week if they're still here. So yeah.
Simon needs to Google himself every week or so now to keep remembering what's being written about him on the net.
What are you folks doing to reduce memory allocation when using Flutter in native iOS and Android apps? I see 2x as soon as we move to Flutter screens. Yeah, but it doesn't increase every 2x every time you go to a new Flutter screen, does it? Right? So what you're seeing there is because you're starting up a Dart engine, right? So the Dart engine has a certain amount of overhead. You've got heap and stack allocations. You've got a bunch of, it's like spinning up a second app within your app, right? But it's just going to be that once for the entirety of all of your Dart code because you're using the same engine for everything, right? And even with the native hosts that you have within Android and iOS, for example, you can spin up multiple entry points within the same host now. It will spin up multiple isolates within the same Dart environment. So yeah, you haven't even got that overhead to worry about. So this is only a one-off. So yeah, and then the other side of this is once you get rid of all your native code, you only got 1x increase because it's not an increase then because you're just using Flutter and Dart. So
you have a good motivation to get rid of the native
good motivation to migrate everything. I'm not worried about that at all. It's the same thing as like this, right? So like let's say you're on one screen native and you're loading a thumbnail, and then you go into another screen that's in Dart Flutter and you're loading the same thumbnail. Those two images are in completely different environments. They're loaded twice in memory in your app. One in the Android system and cached within, I don't know, whatever image library you're using on Android. I'm trying to remember the last one I used on there, was a while ago. Glide or whatever. And then you've got another one that's now cached inside the Flutter and Dart engine. So yes, it's going to be 2 times because you're loading it twice, right? So that this is something you're going to have to deal with as a migrationary point, right? But equally, what sort of memory increase are you talking about? Because it's, again, you say 2x, it's not going to be 2x all the time. The more that you load inside Android, Dart and Flutter, doesn't like 2x each time, right? So it's 2x at this point. It won't be 2x overall, right? Essentially, the more you use one, the less that's going to be, right? I don't think I have anything to add more to that. Yeah.
Yeah. If they want more, they can ask more. All right, that was it.
Right.
So this is back to the other question, the one you wanted me to save for.
Yeah, should we look at this? I think people don't know a lot about this. I feel like it'd probably be a nice thing. Lucas, sorry, I don't want to keep you. If you have to go, please feel free, or you can stick around. I'm not.
Maybe this is actually a good time to go.
You were saying that you needed to go not too long ago, so I didn't want to.
Yeah, we're have to go and plan Flutter and Friends for you all.
Yes.
But thanks for having me, and for the people that joined late,
anytime.
Remember to sign up for the Flame Game Jam. It will be a lot of fun. I can promise you that.
Drop me a 16:9 promo, and we'll drop it in next week as well. What date was it? Yeah, because June. You said it's June, is it?
No, it's next Friday. It starts.
Oh, next Friday. Well, we can drop it in next Wednesday then. So yeah, send me something over, and we'll.
Sounds great.
I'm getting my dates mixed up. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, have a good one, and thanks again. Ciao.
Cheers. Bye.
And then there were 2.
And then there were 2.
All right. You don't need this to do a mock thing. So
let's just drop that. Let's kind of get on. Oh, that's pretty much it. Glide or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. I mean, let's have a look here.
You want the question back?
Should we do some mocky stuff? We're going to do some mocky stuff.
Mocky stuff, yeah. Let's use mocktail.
Let's see.
Mocktail, where you have an object that does different responses as you sequence through things.
Yeah, I don't know if I was in a mock tower, to be honest. It's probably just not needed. So
yeah,
I'll just show you how you do it with some native Dart code.
Okay.
And it also kind of it shows people how this kind of stuff works. So
then we should ask Gemini to code the same thing and see if it can do it.
Do it. Tell me. Let's do a new mock test. There.
And just to confirm something that I think we talked a little bit about last week, Gemini Code Assistant is in fact free for individuals, and it's in all platforms. So it's in VS Code and all the JetBrains ones and everything. So feel free to take advantage of that. And that is the smart coding model too, and it does a really good job. It has 1 million tokens of context. Put your entire code base in a context and then say ask questions about it. I've been doing that.
So I'm just gonna let's get some 2025 dash. Try and do this so we can keep track of everything. We always make new content every week.
Yeah. Oh, so Raphael says we should check that out because 2.5 Pro can do some unit testing.
All right. Let's not spoil it just yet. Let's see if we can.
Let's let the human do it first.
So like let's say we got our main. Let's say we got our app, right? And our main app. Is this big enough for everyone? I hope it is. If it's not, I can bump it up.
A bit smaller than normal.
Let's see what I can do. I can do this. Well, bam. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I will bump up the editor font a little bit. 32.
It always looks like I'm looking so far down when you've got code windows because it's like way down on my screen now. So sorry for anybody who wants my eyes actually making contact with your eyes. My eyes are down here because I'm trying to see what.
What do you mean you're not in the same room as me? How dare?
I know. Well, if it's in the same room as you, I'd be over your shoulder, which would be just as weird, I think.
What was that coding thing they had? Was it like extreme programming where it was we had like a tester and a designer all working at the same monitor or something like that? Like
you mean pair programming?
No, there was something where they had like your tester, your developer, designer, and like a product person, like a BA, all at the same desk doing the same thing at the same time, because that makes sense.
That just sounds like it's only a parody, I would hope. Yes.
No, it wasn't. It was a thing for a time. I'm pretty sure more still companies do that kind of stuff. Right. Anyway, let's move on. Right. So let's say we got our material app here, and we're going to have app. So we wanted to say we've got we're going to do like a fake little API load something, right? This is a quick example. So let's do it. Let's do app loading. Why not? So what we can do with app loading here, I'm just going to put this in the front end. We can do a presenter. We can put out logic, but right now this is going to be something simple. So we could do splash and home as two options. We can say a future builder. And what we're going to do is return one widget or the other one based on if we've loaded or not. So I'm just going to race through this.
If only there was a shortcut in your editor that generated exactly that.
I actually have one, and I'm not using it on purpose. Right, so if it's not done, then we're going to get a splash screen. Otherwise, we're going to get home. Let's get this. And then what we'll do is we'll do a quick little kind of back end, if you will. So we'll do it like class. Let's call it back end. There you go. Class API. And our API class is going to be like, I don't know, fetch app config. Sure, there's my API. Sure.
Yes.
Right.
Classic.
And then this is going to return back a map, because this is not the way to do it. Right. So
Yeah.
my actual, this is going to obviously, you know, to do go to server and fetch content, right?
Right.
And this is
And
going
then
to
put
have,
it in type
what should we call this? I'm trying to think of something we can display on the splash screen. Oh, welcome message. There you go. Welcome message.
Yes.
Right? And that's going to be empty. That's going to say, I don't know, welcome on the normal one, right? So there's our like stupid API.
Right.
And there we go. And then our back end of our app is gonna, when it gets constructed, it's gonna spin up an instance of said API. Have like, I don't know. Yeah, let's just do a,
Keep it simple.
right. And then in our app, we want a sort of a loader. Have a future load app. I don't know. And then this is going to go over to API and do fetch app config, which should also be a future actually saying that. We can have a something like a map of string to dynamic config.
If you have questions about this code, feel free to ask.
Oh yeah, fine. Just read them. I'll fire it away. You know that.
I'll flag them for Simon. So go ahead and just ask him when you want. If you have any questions about the way Simon is coding.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're flagging it. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take care of you.
Bring it on.
Nobody's asked what font you're using yet. That's usually somewhere in the middle of these demos. What's your theme? I guess it is, as they ask.
Right. So we can spin up a backend and we can call load app, and that's going to go fetch the config. And what's this?
I was literally about to ask. A second, nobody's asked about the theme yet.
Do you want the? Is it the font of the thing? Well, the font's Fira code. There you go. And I also enable ligatures so that you get these lovely like joined up characters as you're typing. So this is actually, for example, there's actually 2 characters. You can see as I select it's 2 characters. So that's the bang and equals, but it comes up as not equals, which is really nice, right?
Cool.
So here it's just, if I go left, it's 2 characters, but when they're next to each other, they join.
Yep.
People seem to like that.
Yep.
Right. The color scheme. Oh, it's my own construction. Do you like it? I think this is like a mix of a bunch of different things I've generated over the years. So yeah, this is my own color scheme overall.
Yeah.
But I think there's a base theme, which is the material, one of the material ones. I think it is. Current theme. Don't know. Appearance.
Very derailed.
Dark. There you go. Dark.
Dark. Yes.
I've got the material. I've got the material theme UI stuff installed and some icons as well. People can't seem interested in those. So yeah. Which ones is it? Installed. That's what I want. It'd be nice if it like just showed you the ticked ones. That'd be really helpful. Yeah. So code glance is like this panel on the right, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. Yeah, material theme UI. One dark theme. There you go. That's what it is. One dark theme. If anyone wants it. I've customized the background, so there's a couple of different tweaks, and obviously the syntax highlight theme is my own construction. So take a screen grab and try and recreate it. There you go. Anyway, right. So we're gonna wait for future delayed constant duration. We'll just wait for half a second. Wait for half a second afterwards. Why not? Now, when the app starts up, we're going to have a future splash loading, or I don't know, app loader, make it late. When we initialize the app, we're also going to do a backend instance. And when the app loads up, we're going to take that backend instance and call load app. Store the app loader future, and then we're going to use that in our splash screen to load the app. And then we'll create 2 little widgets down here. So for those that, I mean, people understand what we're doing here. All of these things get posted as a gist, by the way, outside. Create a gist of the scheme. I don't really know how to do that, but we can certainly look to see if we can export something. I think I intended to use like a binary format. So I guess we could put like the names and colors of the things. It kind of seems pointless. Right. So home screen, we're going to have we're going to have a child of text that is centered, that shows the welcome message, right? So we need to be able to get the welcome message here. So to do message, we'll get that in a second. And then on the splash screen, we're going to have a material, and we'll set its background to a different color, hint color, whatever. And then don't actually have any assets. No, it's all like test stuff. We'll do a placeholder. It's going to be really, really boring. And then the color of that will be, I don't know. This is probably going to look terrible, but we'll do that anyway. And we'll do it dark. All right, so okay, so that's giving us like a starting point, right? So we've got we run up the app. We have an API instance here. We have our backend, which creates an instance of the API. We can then fetch that config at some point in the future. We load up that config. So what we need to do is be able to get this config and get a message from it. So what we could do, I mean, ideally, do I do it? I got to do it. Pass app config. We're gonna make this a shortcut though, because I'm not that silly. But we'll put this in here, and then we'll have string get welcome message. We don't have nullable. So at least we have an object that is the config, right? So that's something a bit better than having the map. So we'll have config like this. We'll fetch the app config, and then in here we'll create an app config from the result. There you go. Right, like it's simple enough, but it means that now we can go fetch app config from our context, let's say. So in this case, what we'll do in our app is we'll say app config of build context, and we'll return context. Find access to widget of state bind access to state of that type, and we're on app state, and then we'll fetch the backend config. Ta-da! So now down in our widget in our front end, we can do app config of context dot welcome message. I need to make it static. That would be helpful. Yay. Okay, so let's run it. Let's run it. That's what we need to do. So this is just building a test app, by the way, that we can now override and mock with, because we needed a stable. Yeah, we needed something that we could actually validate our behavior, right?
Right.
So fingers crossed.
Wow. Boil that dust back. Boil that dust back.
Right. We have a black screen, which is exactly what we wanted. No, because our default is welcome. What went wrong? What all went right? Did it all work? And then I forgot to change the text color or something. I don't know. Let's find out.
Too much work on.
Okay. Well, we got the splash screen. Let's make sure. Let's make it load for longer. Ah, it's right there. The text is right at the top. It didn't center it. That was my fault.
Oh.
There we go. Center. And then we'll also... So it did work first time. Oh, I like it when it works first time. Not bad going. Let's make it bigger.
I like this comment here. All that code you written would have taken me at least an hour plus using AI. Yeah, because we're using SI, which is Simon Intelligence. It's a really advanced form of AI.
I won't go that far. Right. Really useless AI. They can only do one thing: Flutter code. So, okay. So now we've got like a basic app schema. Interesting. Anyway, so now what we want to do is override the behavior of API to see if we can see this text, this welcome text on the screen. So let's go build a widget test, I guess, and see what happens, right? So we should be able to mock this whole thing, overriding API, right? So we need to be able to inject. At the moment, we construct backend, and it constructs API. So what we actually want to do is provide an injectable version of API, so we can override it for our tests, or we can do like setters for and mark it as visible for testing or something like that, right? So we'll have this dot API. No, we'll do API. This dot API equals API or that, something like that. And then we'll do the same for backend here. We'll have backend come in from the parent. So this is about making your app testable, right? So we can now override things. We get rid of that. This becomes which is interesting because now we can say find some widget of that type. Oh, extra brackets. There you go. Right. And then right at the very beginning, we're gonna inject an instance of backend. It's not a constructor. What is it then?
The destructor.
That's optional. Oh, because it's not const. So, right. Let's restart. See what happens. Still works. That's good. It's a good sign.
Yeah.
All right. Now we can do a widget test.
Not yet breaking things. That's important. Making progress.
Test different welcome message. Right. So first of all, apparently that's not what the forget. Oh, it has to be a future. Okay. So in our test, we want to do tester dot pump and settle on. Nope, I don't know what I want to do. Test it out. Yeah. Pump widget. That's what I do. And then this is going to be app. Now, what we could do, what one do we actually want? 9 to the 4th. That's none of those, so we better make sure that's right. And now this is going to want a back end. So what we could do, we could also do what we did before, which is make this optional. I'm going to do this. I'm just going to flop this back to what it was, because what I can do in here, just slightly nicer to do it this way. What it feels to me not slightly nicer. We can say again, backend equals widget dot backend, or we make one, right? So again, this is just making it optional. If you had something in here you wanted to clean up, like HTTP client, then you would have like a dispose method, right? Or whatever you want to call it. Clean up backend, and then in your top level, you could call backend dispose, right? There you go.
Yep.
Anyway, so all right, so now we've got this. Let's go back to our widget test. There we go. So that's valid, right? So we should, in theory, be able to run our tests. And field backend has not been defined because I'm an idiot. What did we break? So I know what this is. Well, I'm pretty sure I know what this is. This is about fake async. So we've got a timer in there. No, that should still work. Pending timers. Ignore that. Let's run it again, and we'll debug our test.
Red.
Oh, I turned off the breakpoints. Of course, did. All right, let's try it again. Right. The time is still pending. Basically, the test isn't waiting, which is fine. But I'm just trying to work out why it says backend has not been initialized. Where is that exception? Have I just the normal app that works? I'm going to run the test. Oh, so that was just a hot reload happening. Okay, so let's ignore that. So it is working fine. Okay, so basically what's happening here is we've got a timer for 2 seconds, and it's not. Our test isn't waiting for that, right? So how do we do that?
Delay 2 seconds.
Yeah, we can't do it. Can we do it in here?
No. Oh, it is async.
It's async, and it does the virtual time stuff. But I thought there was like the fake async does. You increase the time, don't you?
Pump and settle. Wouldn't pump and settle do it?
Oh, Marco Sullivan. Mark, yep. Where are you? Come join us.
Yes, he's been chatting all for the last hour or so.
Oh, I missed him.
Yeah. You should join us. You should ask that question directly.
Join us. Join us.
Oh, always welcome.
No, on the stream.
Become one with us.
Be one with the Humpday.
But you got to be. He has to have the URL, I think, to get it on.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, you were trying to solve this problem.
That's what I was looking for. async.elapse duration 5. This will cause, apparently, according to the, let's just see if I can do this. Because it's in fake async here. Oops, this doesn't feel right, but we're going to try it anyway. I'll rotate the delay out on the two. It's hot reload the app, but not the test. Because I'm not running the test. It's not what I want. Damn it. Let's do this because this is what I thought I was going to do. Pump and settle for a duration. Oh, pump for a duration of seconds 3. And I'll ignore that app. This should work. Ooh. It's basically saying I did not wait for it because I did not. That's async as well. Oh, okay. Right, let's try that. We'll get there eventually. Right. Yay. Okay, cool. So, hey, Valeria. Such a cool name as well, Valeria. You want to come on the show, Valeria? You can come on the show.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay. So we pump for 3 seconds, and then we could then inspect the. We can. Was it matcher? Oh my god, I've forgotten entirely what I'm doing now. Finder. Sorry. We want first. Isn't it like a find text? Am I missing something here? Enter text, tap on text. Tap find up, view widget list, find up, view of, Flutter view. Yeah, so get the widget. And we want to find the, that's a good question. And one widget. Here's find.text. That's what I was looking for. Okay, yeah. So we can say welcome. Okay, so we could actually run out, we just run our matcher to say expect finds one widget. All right, so let's run that and see what we get. Okay, success. So this test is testing welcome message of app, right? Then we create another test. Testing alternative welcome message of app. And now in this case, what we want to do is we want to create a mock API and hand it with backend to the app. So we want a mock API here, right? This is where we get to the actual interesting bit that we're trying to get to. So above here, the test, we'll just do, hang on, we'll do it below. Why not? So we'll say class mock API implements API. Right? And what we actually want is this, no such method. So you've noticed that it now says everything is implemented, even though we've implemented nothing. This is a magical method in Dart, which basically means if you try and access something on an object that doesn't exist, that's a get or a set or whatever, it will run this function. This allows us to override any behavior It's not good to use in production, right? But it is fine for testing, right? And what you get is an invocation object. So an invocation object will tell you, is it an accessor, getter, setter, method? What is the name of the method? What are the arguments? And this is exactly what Mockito and Mocktail use to match. When you do when and you call their their kind of implementation, it records the invocation object and maps that invocation object against the one that is used in production. When it matches it, it goes, oh, these have the same parameters. Great, then give this response, right? So in this case, what we can simply do is the member name is match app config. So in this case, what we can do is say if invocation is methods and the member name is equal to this, then return a future value of string dynamic. What is it? Welcome message alternative. Let's call it alternative, right? Okay, so that there is literally how mocking works, right? It's that simple. So now we've got our mock API. What we'll do is we can construct an instance of that. Now we could say up here, mock API. No, I won't do it. I won't do a separate thing, but I will do it in here. So file API equals mock API, and that over to our startup. And now if I run the second test, we're going to expect it to fail. Yay, it failed. It could not find the welcome text because it's no longer there. It should be the word alternative. So now let's search for the word alternative and run the same test again. And it still failed. Right, let's see what we did wrong. App config of null check. Okay, well, why? Oh, no, wait, that should be fine. So what it's saying here at the moment is this did not work. So let's print this and say no such method, such method.
Yes.
It's sucky methods, right?
We try to eliminate this. We debug this.
No such input of invocation mirror. So it is there. Something did get called. So that's good. Let's see, what is the member name? Oh, I know why it's not working. Okay, sorry, this is my fault. Member name is a symbol and not a string. What you need to do is you put a hash symbol next to it, like this, and that makes a symbol. A bit Dart syntax, not many people know.
Symbol SYMBOL, not CYMBOL.
Yeah, it worked. Okay, cool.
Noisy.
So let's get rid of that print string. So yeah, there you go. So now let's do validation. So now it's matching the alternative. This is the alternative test running and it's passing. And if we change this to welcome, it should fail, obviously, because we can't find it anymore. But let's just double check.
One would think.
Good. So now what we want to do is do two. We can do two expects in here, right? We expect not to find one. Can we find none? It finds
nothing.
Exactly
finds nothing.
0.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well,
and then alternative. Welcome message exists when it shouldn't. Right, that's the error message. I want to see if that fails. And alternative welcome text missing. Right. So okay, so run the tests. Let's run all the tests in here. Make sure they all work. Okay, worked and worked. So what we can now do is, just to prove a point here, let's go back. So all of this is just Flutter code. There's no bit of code here. There's just Flutter and Dart. No libraries, no nothing. This is just all pure. There's nothing in here that's special. There's the Flutter material, and you include the other one, Flutter test. That's it. Like nothing. You can build plenty of stuff without like crazy libraries, right? So in here, let's say we changed this. We changed our widget tree not to display this, and to display hello, right? We should now fail both our tests. And we do. And it tells us exactly one matching means none were found on the first test, and then the second one tells us alternative welcome text is missing, right? Perfect. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Who do I hear on my screen? Hey, Norbert. How's it going?
Hey, good. How about you?
Not too bad. Right. We're just having fun playing around mocks, explaining how you can mock objects using Dart's no such method. Yeah.
Nice. I've actually also been doing some experiments with tests, which are not fully done yet, but I think I've got something pretty cool that I'm working on.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You want to show us?
Sure.
Let me just. I'll tell you what I'm going to do first of all. Let me just post this. In fact, while you're doing that, I will post this code on Gists on GistHub.
Oh, GistHub, yes.
And then anyone who wants to see how this is done, they can go grab that. I'll post that whilst you're getting things going.
Yep. 1 sec.
Did everyone like that? Was that interesting?
That was cool.
What was someone.
We have one more other area of question if we want to do some live coding about.
Yeah, you just answer the question that come in. Sure, whatever's come in.
Yeah.
Do you want to bring up a question that came in? Any questions that came in?
Well, it's the one. It's the one about the cancelable feature. If you want to switch gears. There's nothing else really about the stuff you were working on just now.
Right. Well, open up that first one. And what was the question?
The question was, is it possible to cancel a feature method which has other feature calls in it? And then I had a discussion where we started getting into cancelable operation, and they found a place where it wasn't canceling properly. So if you want to debug his canceling operation code,
we could look at that in a minute.
Yeah.
It is 9.8. Yeah, it is.
Do you want me to read it out for you? 10B2 CAF 1B9
in a minute.
Yeah. Oh, 10. What was after 10? 10B2.
Oh God.
Or I should say 10 Bravo 2 Charlie Alpha Fox.
Oh God, don't do that either. I don't remember that stuff.
9er Delta 5 Charlie Alpha.
Right. Let's get these files in a gist.
Yeah, to answer the question, I got it set up.
Okay.
Sure.
Feel free to first check out what you wanted to do.
Did you want to share your screen? Sorry, no, but I'm trying to post this whilst you're.
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah, I can go ahead. Okay, let's.
Or were you trying to answer the? Sorry, were you trying to answer the person?
No, I thought you were.
Well, in a minute, hopefully.
Yep.
Contents can't be empty. The contents was not empty.
Okay, while you do that, I can go ahead and fill the gap if you want to.
No, it's okay. Well, too late now. So I've posted the stuff on Gists. You can find it on the code that we just worked on. You'll find here. It's in the chat. That's got the 2 files in there. So you've got the main example and then the mock test below. So hopefully that helps more people.
07 Foxtrot 1 2
Hang on. You need some guide about creating. It's called Melos. It's a great tool. Go check it out. MELOS. Melos.
Which is interfacing apparently cleanly with the new mono repo
workspace feature.
Workspace stuff is working well with
the problem I've got with the workspace feature, if you're not careful, is you can screw up your relationship between Dart and Flutter. What I mean by that is if you have, let's say, a server that's Dart only, you've got a front end that's Flutter, and they have a common library between, that common library cannot be inside the workspace because otherwise your Dart code will be depending on Flutter code.
Oh, yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, so you do double up on those bits that are shared, obviously, but because there's 2 different syntax trees, which is obvious, right? But there's 2 different abstract syntax trees that the analyzer has to use for the 2 different areas. So it's essentially having 2 different workspaces that cover that have the same library in them, but is not shared between the 2. Okay. Anyway, now you can't say, "Hey, Mark, we got to come on the stream." You got to find. You got. If you want to say hello, Mark, you got to come on the stream. No, you can't reply. No, it's got to come on the stream.
Oh, okay. Okay, shall I?
Sure. Share your screen. Why not?
Cool. Okay, I've been just working on this the last couple of days. Let me see. So this should be working, right?
Something is. There you go.
Yep. Ooh, tiny.
Nice.
I think you might need to make your font bigger.
Yes.
Way bigger.
Let me see. Wait, so the code here isn't really important. So I will hold off on that for a minute.
It's the most important bit for developers. Come on.
Yeah. Right.
And let me see how
Show and tell. Show and tell requires show. There has to be show.
So just this is super work in progress, and like everything will probably change. But so for anybody who doesn't know, I'm currently working on kind of this AI ID cursor for Flutter. And I've been just experimenting with testing because I had great success before using AI, building code and also telling it to write tests. And the AI is, I think, great at writing tests, executing those, finding errors it did before, and just magically talking to itself for 5 minutes and it has working code. So I wanted to see if I can kind of replicate that for Flutter and give it this visual testing tool. So this is what I'm currently building. It's called Vide, and it's like a Figma-like canvas, but for building Flutter apps with or without AI. And I think this is pretty cool because you were talking about testing before.
Hang a minute.
Yeah.
Does someone want to say hello?
No, look at that. He did show up.
See if you can't hear us now. He's got his audio out. I know.
Is my audio working?
Yes, it is working.
Now it is.
Ooh, hello.
Welcome.
Deep voice.
Can you hear us though?
Okay, I have no audio, so I need to sort this out. 1 second.
Oh, we should use hands.
He's very muted. Right, carry on, Norbert. Sorry, we interrupted you.
No, don't worry. So one thing I kind of got annoyed with when writing widget or UI tests for the most part is they're not really visual. Like you weren't seeing what was actually happening. You were getting errors, overflows, and for me, it was always a hassle to kind of see what's going on. And that was always like a big part for me. Like if you're writing UI tests, for me at least, I'm going to see what's going on so I can fix it. So I thought, can we actually bring UI tests into...
He'll be back, Steph. So I can.
Sorry?
I'm just answering Steph. He said, "What happened?"
Okay.
She said, "What happened to Mark?" I said, "He'll be back."
Okay.
Sorting out his audio. Go on.
So I was basically thinking, can we put it into the runtime so you can actually see what's going on? And in the step after that, can we give the AI access to writing, executing, and looking at these tests? So this is kind of the thing that I'm currently working on, seeing if it works. Is you have this, I think you saw this before, Simon, one of the one-shot puppy Tinder things the AI did. And I also told it to write some tests, and it actually put it onto this canvas and attached a console to it. And if you click run test logic, you can see like the test is super short and not really nice, but you see a small cursor moving around and kind of clicking stuff. And you can see the test actually passing. And if we then open, for example, I think this test should be a bit nicer while it's still kind of being pretty pointless. There's a small calculator widget, and pressing it will just press the plus button. Yeah, this is actually like I'm literally working on this right now, and it's not resetting right now.
Press the rerun logic multiple times. Yeah, so you can see the mouse popping up. Don't stop moving your mouse out there because it's really confusing.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, exactly. It's like the small mouse sprite where you can actually see.
So you can see like where it's tapping on the screen, so you can see how it's running your test.
Exactly, and what I did is it's inefficient, but I actually added delays and made the mouse move like slower than it could be moving, so you as a person can visually see what's happening.
Which I think is a great idea, from like a development perspective on writing tests. Sure, but obviously running the tests, no.
Exactly, like
if you're running the test in your CI pipeline, you're not wanting it to animate a cursor invisible.
So I think the use case for this right now, what I want to do is instead of writing tests that will be rerun a lot of times in CI pipelines, I wanted to give the AI the ability to write tests, execute them in kind of for you, so you can actually watch how those tests are happening. And if you don't trust the AI, which you probably shouldn't most of the time, you can just rerun the test yourself and see what's happening. And kind of right now, I feel like these tests are meant to be deleted at some point. They're mostly implement the widget, implement the screen, write some tests which are very visual, so you as a person can verify. And at the end of the day, feel free to delete the tests or like convert them. Or I mean, the tests I can show you.
So the tests tests are written with this framework, or they can just like, is it how the test is being run that's different?
So kind of both. So it has to use a bit of a framework. Mostly what I'm doing is I'm changing the tester. So when you run the widget test, you have this tester object. And I've written my own tester object, which doesn't rely on kind of pumping frames, on doing all the low-level things, that actually just doing stuff in your normal app. The API is pretty.
You couldn't wrap like the test widget stuff on normal tests then? Not
yet. Like technically, yeah, should be possible, and I'm kind of working on like it's using the same finders like you would. It's using the same API that you would. It's just having a slight deviation just for development purposes right now. Like this is brand new. I've been experimenting this for a couple of days now. And yeah, there's nothing holding you back from actually wrapping or using them as your real widget tests or like your things that you run in the CI. Right now, it's kind of slightly special, so I have more kind of API freedom to do whatever I want.
Of course, yeah. Before it's still alpha, before you lock it down and you can't do anything anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I feel like
I know it's definitely cool. I like the idea of like visually seeing the test. That's really helpful.
Great.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like here, there's a calculator which is also AI written, and you can see it messed up some symbols. And yeah, you can see it's actually reporting an error because it was trying to find
lots of vibe coding.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm trying to do, is how can we get vibe coding more accurate and more precise by it kind of writing all these tests, executing them, and like if the AI is able to write this test and see, oh, there's something going on, it may even take a screenshot of it. Like most models are multimodal, and they can actually look at images. It will see, hey, I messed up some symbols, characters, some encoding went wrong. And it can then correct itself. So kind of seeing, can we give AI more tools and more time to think and run like what a normal developer would do to produce better results? And I think it's very promising. Like I'm having great success as of now.
Looks awesome. Are you gonna you're gonna do you want to announce what you're going to be doing this week, or do you want to leave that for another time?
Well, sure. I mean, we still need to figure out like a locked-in time. But let me get this other screen up. I was talking to Simon about this, and I think I teased it on Twitter before. I wanted to do like, I'm building this AI IDE thingy. I want to use it more myself. I want people seeing and telling me if it's a cool thing or not. I'm gonna doing some vibe coding this weekend on Sunday. Time to be announced. It's gonna be on Twitter, and we're gonna build a game. And my
very YouTube channel. Let's be clear.
Sorry,
we're streaming here on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
we'll announce it on Twitter. Yeah,
exactly. Let me pull this up. And like, my goal is, I don't wanna, or at least I wanna try to not write a single line of code. And if there's a semicolon that is missing, I will not type it. I will tell the AI, please look on line 75 to add that semicolon.
This is gonna be. This reminds me of those days when I tried to do like, what was it, speech input for programming, and it's like left bracket, right bracket, it's so
exactly
so
like
slow.
My hope is that that's not going to be the case. Most of it will just work. Like, I've been using AI a lot, and I think I have a pretty good workflow when it comes to actually giving it precise instructions, but also giving it some creative freedom to explore layouts, try things, reference other stuff. I can quickly give a sneak peek into the Figma file, what we're actually going to do.
Before we jump onto that, hey Mark, welcome to the stream.
Oh, hi.
Hey, I finally have my my screen all set up correctly. I came on and I could see everyone's mouths just be like, and I was like, no,
something's not right here.
Yeah.
Hi.
Full gang here.
We can't hear you either, Steph. So.
What?
It's all fun. It's all fun and games.
I think it's really cool to see this tool today from Norbert, because Discord and I also seen the Firebase Studio as well. So we've got Dreamflow, we've got Firebase Studio, and we've got Norbert's project as well, which I forget the name of. I missed the start of this whenever you came on, so apologies.
Or it's called Vide.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, let me re-say what I said before, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, Norbert. Hi, Mark. Long time no see. Hi, Norbert. Nice to meet you. Randall, nice to see you again. Simon, really long time since I have seen you.
You don't see me. You don't see me.
Oh, on stage. Okay, I'm just here because Simon asked me. I cannot contribute to anything, and I've missed part of what Norbert was talking about.
So no, let's see. What are you going to be doing on Sunday before we get totally off track?
So that's just going to be a very quick sneak peek. If you want to watch the full thing, it's going to be on Sunday. So I was having way too much fun when GPT-4o dropped, and I was experimenting a lot with it. It cost me like a weekend. And I figured out it's great at card games, or like illustrations and so on. So let me share the screen. So we're gonna be building a card game, a roguelike deck builder, which is kind of, if you know games like Balatro or say the Spire, you build your deck of cards, you try to get powerful combos, and the theme is mobile app dev. So you're trying to stack your cards to combine marketing, features to impress middle management by getting a lot of new users before the time and your energy.
A couple of those cards, just a couple of those
so
cards,
these are the ones which are kind of done, like the colors and so on may change a bit.
These are brilliant.
I will explain kind of the game loop I thought of in more detail on the stream. But you will be trying to combine feature cards. More features is better, but if you only play feature cards without any marketing, those are useless, because only marketing cards really give you users. There's utility cards, which lets you clean up things, remove bugs, and there's bugs like that have negative effects on you. And like, I'm trying to keep it very humorous, very light-hearted, and with a bunch of funny comments. And yeah. That's kind of the sneak peek of what we'll
what's funny is I could see myself playing this game because it actually sounds like fun. Like, oh no, I've got another bug. Like,
exactly. And yeah, the cool thing is
you play a caffeine card for ultra coding.
Exactly. And the cool thing is it's gonna be
point.
You've
vibe
got
coding.
buggy,
You get
buggy commit is redundant. I don't know why you even have the 2 words on that slide.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a bunch of cards that need
Every
like
code.
the buggy commit is probably one of the weaker cards.
Yeah.
It's gonna be put on like I will set up a CI/CD, so every single commit is gonna be put onto the web, and everybody watching will be able to play in whatever state it's gonna be at the time,
wow.
right while we're building it.
Proper
I
vibe
don't have
coding.
I don't have anything prepared, only the assets, because I don't want to spend all time thinking about rules and assets. So I have literally 0 code, and it's going to be very interesting how it turns out.
Do you have like the end game? Like, what's the target for the game? Like, do you have to get to release, or do you have to get to some kind of goal? Or is it a case of avoid having a string of like 10 bugs in a row where you get fired? Is it like last developer in the team survives or something? Like, what's the
That's
goal?
also pretty. I think it's still open. Like if there's cool ideas, we can go in that direction. Right now, the goal which I thought of is you have milestones to hit. Like for every 10 turns, you have to hit thousands, 10,000, 100,000, a million users. And if you don't hit those milestones in a certain number of turns, middle management just cancels the project. That's kind of the unofficial lore right now.
You need to have one challenge be that your coworker submits your code to the daily WTF.
Nice. Yeah, open for cards. Probably during the live stream is the best time to suggest cards, and
yeah,
we can like add more cards and do cool things. Like it's a blank canvas right now.
This could be like once you've done this could go up on Steam. This is like a game that people, I'm sure a lot of people would actually play. If they could play it online against a friend or something like that, that'd be cool. Or play it in a team or something. You know, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Cards Against Humanity.
Ooh, mobile dev themed Cards Against Humanity.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like this is like a. I kind of the title now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of vibing and vibe coding. So I'm pretty confident it's gonna turn out well. It's just a matter of how quick it will be and how many revisions we need to do.
And N+1 to the revisions.
There's always one more. There's always one more change.
Yes.
Yeah.
What time will the stream be starting? Are you based in Germany still, or
yes,
are you based somewhere else?
Based in Germany, so it's gonna probably be around sometime in the evening Europe time. So like people watching in more of the West can also tune in. But we will Simon and I will talk later about best time slot to put this on. It's gonna be on, we'll post on Twitter and whatever other social media we have.
All that fun stuff.
So kind of like nowish, but on Sunday.
Yeah, that's probably a good time.
Okay.
I was just trying to find out social media links. I can't find them to pop up on the screen. You can do a hashtag Humpday Q&A. Yeah. Yes. Well, you can find us as Flutter Community on Twitter and
YouTube in particular. We can subscribe directly to us.
You'll get, obviously, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, then you'll get a notification. See,
right?
That's how it goes.
Yes, it's going to be on this YouTube channel. So
I literally forgot the Flutter Community.
Right.
Yeah, and then here's the Twitter. That's in the chat. There you go, or X or whatever you want to call it now. Sure.
Whatever its current name is.
All right. I think we're kind of wrapping it up then. I think that's done with some live coding.
Yeah.
Unless Mark, want to like chat about anything or Steph,
No announcements for me this week. I might come back in a couple of weeks' time, make an announcement. So
cool.
What I've been working on. I've been very very focused the last couple of days, and then I was like, oh, okay, I'll come onto the stream today. This is hello.
Hey, Norbert.
To vibe good. That's a very fun topic because I'm literally about to do that. So for the
would you do that and run it on your production machine, minding the fact that it may delete files on your machine?
I mean, okay, the file manager. I mean, I will be implementing a file explorer, which is kind of a file manager, and I'm planning to completely vibe code it. And that's kind of the thing that led me to actually implementing this testing suite, because I'm anticipating the AI just breaking down and implementing bugs.
Wow, that was a long time ago. I completely forgot about that. Was that 20? When was Flutter Europe, Norbert? You were there, weren't you?
Oh yeah, Flutter Europe in Warsaw, right?
Yeah. That was what, 2020 or 2019? 2019?
2020, 2019, somewhere around that corner, yeah.
Yeah, wow, that's a long time ago.
Forever in Flutter world.
Yep. You could actually meta make an AI cards, which are like cursor fixes your bug, or cursor messes up your bug, you go to jail.
Hey, now cursor helped when I was working on my app for the conference. If you haven't watched the Flutterista conference, it's right here on the Flutter Community YouTube channel. Anyway, remember I mentioned it. I was missing 2 lines of code.
Yeah.
And
wow.
My app actually worked after I added those 2 lines of code, and
nice.
So I had not used an AI for my code. So
I've been just as an alternative. People mention Cursor all the time. Is I'm using Rue Code, which is a plugin to VS Code. It's a fork of Klein, which is already sort of best of breed in terms of working out multiple backends, multiple agents and stuff. But Rue Code's even better than that now, and getting better and better every day. And it can do some really remarkable things, and it uses almost any backend that you want to use. So I've been using the Gemini 2.5 Pro, for example, as my backend, and very, very slick results.
Yeah, like I was using Claude 3.7 like for a long time, and since like I would say 4 or 5 days, I completely switched over to Gemini 2.5, and I feel like I don't know what it is, but somehow it's better. I can't really get my finger on it and what exactly is it. Sometimes it's also worse, like especially in Cursor. I don't know how it is for you. It just says, yeah, I'm gonna work on this, and then it just stops and it doesn't do it. I'm like, okay, go ahead. And it's like, I will go ahead and actually implement the features and stop again. I'm like, dude, what?
Someday it will auto complete, not just auto work. Yes, right. Yeah.
Just a quick answer to this question from Frey about the coding we just did. Any reason you chose to use no such method over fake implementation of the actual method? Yeah. So this is talking about the API class we just made, where we had a method that was like, was it fetch app config? Yeah. If it was just that one method, obviously I would implement that, and that's the example, right? But if you've got like a really huge interface, let's say I've got 100 methods in that API interface, I'm not going to implement a mock one that has 100 methods and only override the one, right? I also don't want to extend the actual real implementation and override that one method, because then I've got the real implementation to deal with. The whole idea of the mock is to completely avoid the implementation. So you do that with no such method, because that means you don't have to override the entire interface. You just override and pick and choose what you want to change within the no such method function. So that's why that's really helpful.
And can't you also deal with like varying signatures then too, to make sure the signature was called correctly? I guess maybe not.
Yep. You can actually look at like the parameters and make sure that certain parameters have been passed in a certain condition and some haven't, and you can choose that based on the invocation object that's passed to you.
Right.
It's literally how all the Mocktail and Makito and all the rest of them work. So
yep.
For that very reason.
Yep.
Right. Was there any other questions? We didn't get to.
It's the whole thing about the cancelable stuff, but we can do that next week.
Yeah. I will make a note of that. Sorry, I can't say your name. Nahum. Come back next week, and we'll answer that and ask again. I'll make a note of it, but we'll answer that next week, and we'll see if we can provide you an answer. Right, I think that's it for the show. Unless anyone's
not getting the hint, there's no show next week. I keep telling you this.
Why is there no show next week?
You, right in the middle of what would be next week's show, are live on that other presentation, the Dart 5 thing.
Oh, I didn't know that was what I was doing.
You're showing as a conflict on my calendar, so it's like pretty obvious to me.
Oops.
So no, yeah,
I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do.
Somewhere else. Yes.
No problem.
So no, there's no show at the normal time next week.
I've not accepted it yet. This is the first. So
you're advertised. You're the #1 person on the list for the program.
Have to change the time slot slightly.
It's you.
Anyway, we'll figure it out.
It's all you.
Right, Mark, you're gonna be on in next week or the week after or whatever. Yeah,
it won't be next.
Probably back in a couple of weeks' time. We'll try and
All
organize something. So it'll be cool.
Yeah.
That'll be
Steph,
great.
you're welcome back anytime. Same as you, Norbert.
Yes.
Randall's always here. He's always there.
I'm a fixture.
Right. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
Awesome.
No.
Thanks for having us.
Whenever. Next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.